The Los Angeles Cobras are led by former UCLA great Matt Stevens, and in their season opener a week ago against the New York Knights, he had a great game. It wasn't quite enough, though, as they lost 60-52. But here he finds Richard Rodgers with one of his 7 touchdown tosses. Tonight, he's going to find this man a lot. 39-year-old Cliff Branch, the former Raider great, came out of retirement to play arena football, and came out he did with 7 receptions a week ago. The Chicago Bruisers are led by Ben Bennett. In his career at Duke, he threw for over 9,000 yards. He also set 7 career NCAA passing records while there. He nearly set some records last week with 8 touchdown passes, 3 to that man, Carl Akins, and he also had 3 to the smallest man on the field, 5'6" Reggie Smith. Coming up next on ESPN, Arena Football, the Los Angeles Cobras and the Chicago Bruisers. We're at the Rosemont Horizon in Rosemont, Illinois. And tonight's game is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. The taste adults have grown to love. They're great. And by your local Little Caesars, where you get 2 great pizzas for 1 low price. Let's take a look at the standings after the first week of arena football. Chicago, New York, and Pittsburgh all winners. And it's interesting to note that all those victories came on the road. Hi, everybody. We welcome you to the Horizon in Rosemont, Illinois. I'm Roger Twibell. Last week, in the opening week of the 1988 arena football season, 47 touchdowns were scored. 44 of those touchdowns came through the air. Sit back and relax. You don't have to look too hard to find this game. A lot of points being scored and a lot of excitement. And we don't have to look too hard to find the man working with me tonight, a guy that knows a lot about offense, former Seattle Seahawks wide receiver Steve Raible. Steve, fans are going to have a lot of fun watching this arena football.
Well, Roger, you know as well as I do, I love offense. But there is one coach in particular on the field tonight, Perry Moss of Chicago, who believes, and really believes, that you can win arena football on defense. And so he has stocked his team with defensive players. He did a pretty good job last week against New England.
If you didn't see the opening game on ESPN last weekend, we better talk about the rules. The first thing we want to talk about is the field, folks. It's just a bit smaller.
It is, like, try half the size, 50 yards long. However, it makes it interesting because you have nets in the end zones. You can play the ball off of those nets. You can only be substituted for once a quarter. We'll keep up with that. And man-to-man defense only out on the field. That causes some problems. 8 guys to a side. You have to play both ways, the old Iron Man concept. Another old concept, the drop kick. And we may see that tonight. Marco Morales for Chicago, a fine drop kicker.
Well, they say that everything that goes around comes around, and we're seeing that in arena football. Last week, the Cobras scored 52 points, but I got the feeling talking to Ray Wilsey today, he wasn't entirely that happy with Matt Stevens' effort.
Matt was a little shaky at times, missed some open receivers. We may see Eric Beavers, the number 2 quarterback, just to get him in the game, get him a little polish.
We have got one of the best names in all of football, the best name in arena football. Try this one, folks. Weppy Powell, right out of Batman and Robin.
Weppy Powell is a linebacker, and he hits you with lots of pow, but he's also a fullback, and he carries the ball very well. A latecomer to arena football, this young man can pack it.
Let's see if he can lay a pow on somebody. One of his good runs last week.
He ducks up inside. One of his problems last week, he fumbled the ball early in the game. Again, I think just early season jitters. This young man's going to be a good one.
There were only 3 rushing touchdowns, by the way, last week. Now, for the Chicago Bruisers, they're a defensive-oriented team. Perry Moss went out and he found a bunch of defensive players. He made them into offensive players. But he's got a guy who last year in the arena football season was tabbed the Iron Man. He got that Iron Man award. We're talking about Billy Stone. Take a look at this guy. He looks like Dick the Bruiser.
He does, doesn't he? A little bit of Brian Bosworth, maybe. Got the haircut, got the square chin. He is an Iron Man. He's great both ways. He's an excellent defensive player, and he can run that football.
They have another player named Durwood Rockmore. He played with the Kansas City Chiefs for years, and folks, he still plays in the NFL with the Buffalo Bills.
And last week set an arena football record with 3 interceptions in the game against New England. Take a look, as a matter of fact, in last week's ball game, Durwood Rockmore skying for this interception in the end zone. He's just an excellent athlete, and he comes down with the football more times than not.
We're going to have fun with this game tonight, and we'd like you to sit back and enjoy it. You know, the most important guy for us is our statistician, because there are going to be a lot of points scored. Over 110 points by these 2 teams last week. Arena football coming up next here on ESPN. The Los Angeles Cobras against the Chicago Bruisers.
This is the leading edge of racing technology. The perfection of the new Pennzoil Z7 Special powered by the Penske Chevrolet engine. And from day one, it has run on the world-class protection of Pennzoil motor oil. There is no other engine in the world like it, and no other oil in the world can protect it like Pennzoil. Pennzoil, world-class protection that exceeds U.S. warranty requirements of every car maker in the world. Now save $3 a case or 20 cents a quart. See mail and rebate coupon in the back of every bottle.
Roger Twibell, Steve Raible here at the Rosemont Horizon. 4:12 to go in the first half. And the Chicago Bruisers and their little man, Reggie Smith, bring the football out to the 15-yard line. 23-13, Los Angeles leads, Steve, in a rather low-scoring first half for arena football.
Well, I think we're seeing a couple of things, Roger. I think we're seeing some pretty decent defense played by a Chicago team that believes that defense is going to win these games, regardless of the fact that they scored 60 points just last week against New England. And Los Angeles is playing better defense than they played in their opener a week ago.
Ben Bennett, 10 of 16, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions, including an interception returned by Joe Kelly, as Hart makes the reception at the 23. And I'll tell you what, Los Angeles is really doing a good job of getting to Bennett. They've been able to reach him 3 or 4 times right as he's passed or afterwards. One time they were penalized for the late hit. Gerald Hart, you can see what he did last week. The clock continues to run here, and it will run until the final minute of the first half and the final minute of the game. There's a look at Ben Bennett from Duke, played with Jacksonville in the USFL, Dallas, and Cincinnati in replacement games in the NFL last year. And he finds Hart again. And Hart to the 21-yard line.
Roger, we mentioned that Bennett playing a pretty good ball game today. He's taken some hits, however, although he seems to be standing strong right now. Not much pressure on him that time. And he finds Darryl Hart, who tries to give a little juke and get upfield. Again, these narrow fields in arena football, only 85 feet wide, just 50 yards long, so you have to make your move quickly and get upfield for positive yardage.
Hart, the first player ever drafted out of Lane College in Tennessee. Bennett is hit again, and the pass is overthrown. The man getting in there for Los Angeles that time was number 42 as we take a look at it. That's Michael Jones.
Ben steps back. Michael Jones, one of the best athletes on this Los Angeles Cobra team, and that's another way that Los Angeles is playing better defense. Not only are they covering better downfield, but they're putting more pressure on the quarterback. Now we're going to have an illegal defense call. The official's microphone not working that time. But again, illegal defense in this game can be either playing who's supposed to be playing man-to-man, slips off of his player and just wanders out there, or it can be an illegal blitz.
There's Perry Moss, the general manager and head coach of the Chicago Bruisers. 40 years in the game of football, from the college ranks through the professional ranks. As Bennett on 1st and 10's got to move out of the pocket. He's got a man wide open. It's Smith, and it's a touchdown, and there's a penalty marker down. Oh, and Bennett just let Michael Jones have it over on the sideline. 15 yards on the touchdown pass, the 3rd of the night for Ben Bennett.
And he is pressured, and he scrambles, and showing some pretty good foot speed. Now he lets loose of the ball, and Smith just makes a great grab in the end zone. However, what we didn't see was a little altercation between Bennett and Jones. Let's follow it this time and see if we can follow there. We still don't see it. Well, suffice it to say that Bennett and Jones had some words, and Ben Bennett just stepped up and let Jones have it.
Well, there was a flag as Jones got him with a late hit, and Bennett just stepped back and smacked him right in the face afterwards. And Jones was so taken aback, he didn't do anything. He didn't know what to do.
Well, Jones is a big guy, and I don't know if I'd want to smack him. He's a weightlifter in the offseason, and he is one physical specimen. But Ben Bennett, again, very loose before the game, joking with us. This is his kind of ball game. He loves to be out here, and he's going to take charge.
23-19. They're going to go for a 2-point conversion. And it's Daryl Hart. And yeah, folks, they'll be dancing indoors this summer in arena football. So they get the conversion. And it's Los Angeles 23 and Chicago 21. We'll be back right after this.
Suddenly, there's a whole new way of looking at sports sedans. The new Mitsubishi Galant. Its design is dynamic and spirited. Unlike Camry or Accord, Galant offers the world's most advanced electronic suspension, available anti-lock braking, and was voted Japan's Car of the Year. But Galant's most significant development isn't just the technology that's gone into it, but the feeling you'll get out of it. The new Mitsubishi Galant with prices starting around $10,700. It's suddenly the obvious choice.
Let's take a look at the touchdown pass now by Ben Bennett from the reverse angle here at Rosemont. Bennett with the fake and comes rolling out. And there he finds this, the two-point conversion, and finds the receiver who hangs on after really getting hit hard in the back and hangs on to the ball.
That was Daryl Hart. And it's 23-21 with 1:51 left to go in the first half. As Marco Morales will kick it off for the Chicago Bruisers. Short kick. McKnight will take it. And McKnight into the boards and through the door. They got to get new locks on those doors.
Somebody's going to get hurt over there if they don't find a way to lock those doors down. Again, there is no sideline, virtually no sideline on this field. We'll talk about it in a moment, but watch Matt McKnight. Gets right up inside there, pops it back outside, and those offensive players trying to cover special teams just can't keep up.
Never was the term Katie bar the door more appropriate, huh?
And the play comes back now. Oh, my. Just knocks everybody through and right into the bench area. Happily, that isn't reserved seating area, or a couple of spectators would have their Coca-Colas all over them.
And they bring it back to the 12-yard line. Now, the clock will run until the 1-minute mark, and then it'll stop on incompletions and out of bounds. Matt Stevens, the quarterback. And it's intercepted. Derwood Rockmore. Rockmore had 3 interceptions last week, and he scores! Derwood Rockmore played for the Kansas City Chiefs for a number of years, Houston in the USFL, and played for Buffalo last year, and will go back and play for Buffalo this year. Comes up with the interception.
But right now, he is a Chicago Bruiser, and he skies for the interception. And this guy who intercepted 3 passes last week to set an Arena Football League record against New England, hops, skips, and jumps his way into the end zone. Matt Stevens, no way he's going to make the play. Weppy Powell kind of adding a little pow of his own into the boards, but it doesn't matter. Derwood Rockmore with a great interception and run back 28 yards for the touchdown.
Rockmore, 6'1", 190. He's from Texas A&I, and that small school has produced a number of tremendous football players through the years. As Bennett will line him up for the 2-point conversion again. Stone has it, and that's intercepted.
It's a conversion, so you can't score. It's a dead ball back there as a conversion.
They forget. I mean, they score so much, they think they can score off any interception or possession. The Bruisers lead the Cobras 27-23. We'll be back to the Rosemont Horizon right after this.
While some still believe you can't take it with you, those who've driven the new Mitsubishi wagon know just the opposite to be true. Now, not only can you take it with you, but you can do so with a remarkable combination of style, spacious comfort, and versatility. The new Mitsubishi wagon, patiently crafted so you can take it all with you. Or, better yet, so you can leave it all behind. Mitsubishi. Suddenly, the obvious choice.
Offensive players suddenly have to become defensive players for Los Angeles. Matt Stevens, the last line of defense, and there's no way that little Matt Stevens, the quarterback, is going to stop Derwood Rockmore, the Rock, from the Chicago Bruisers.
He's probably played more football in the last couple of years than anybody I can think of.
You'd think these guys would get tired. running up and down the field like this. Again, we're talking in the old days, Iron Man football. These guys go both ways, play offense and defense. Rockmore gets a well-deserved rest.
And special teams.
And special teams. Don't forget those.
That 50 yards, Steve, starts to look awfully long about this time of the game. 1:11 to go in the first half. McKnight right on the line, and he brings it out. Penalty markers down. McKnight fumbled the opening kickoff, and that led to a Chicago score.
That time, McKnight got most of that yardage on his own because his rest of his teammates just sort of stopped and stood there, looked around, wondering what was going to happen. We're going to have a face mask penalty against Chicago.
So we're under a minute, and the clock will now stop on out-of-bounds, incomplete passes. And that will also occur in the final minute of the game. And the official would like a timeout. Let's take a look and see who's grabbing whose face mask right here.
Good effort. There it is right there. You see the head dip and the chin dip. Can be a serious injury come about from face masking penalties, so and always a good call by the official.
Bruisers 27, Cobras 23, Matt Stevens. Got a man, that's Wade Lockett. And Lockett is knocked out of bounds at about the 18-yard line. Durwood Rockmore was over there, number 21. Stone was there. Lockett's been very productive this evening for Los Angeles. Los Angeles, primarily a team made up of offensive players trying to learn defense, and the Bruisers, a team made up of defensive players learning offense. 53 seconds left to go in the half. Stevens going to Mullen. Touchdown. It's fast and it's furious. And it's another score. And I got to tell you, folks, with a 50-yard field and the clock stopped in the final minute, you might see a lot of points scored.
You know what's most dangerous about this game? You high-five yourself to death after touchdowns. Look at Mullen in the end zone, reaching out for the reception, and reaching out for Mullen is Carl Akins. Again, a wide receiver who's having to play defensive back in this two-way football. There's no way he's going to keep up with Gary Mullen, who was all AFL. There's a word out of the past, or 3 letters out of the past. Arena Football League, all AFL last year with the Denver Dynamite.
And 17 yards in the touchdown pass from Matt Stevens. And it's 29-27. It's Ken Olsen. Will attempt the point after. And he misses it. But folks, that's no easy job. That is a very narrow opening there. And it's a 2-point lead for Los Angeles with 48 seconds left to go in the half.
Suddenly, there's a whole new way of looking at sports sedans. The new Mitsubishi Galant. Its design is dynamic and spirited. Unlike Camry or Accord, Galant offers the world's most advanced electronic suspension, available anti-lock braking, and was voted Japan's Car of the Year. But Galant's most significant development isn't just the technology that's gone into it, but the feeling you'll get out of it. The new Mitsubishi Galant with prices starting around $10,700. It's suddenly the obvious choice.
Roger Twibell, Steve Raible back with you. Los Angeles leads at 29-27. You're looking at the nets down at the end zone. Of course, both end zones with that netting. The ball can be played off there. There's a 9-foot opening there for the extra point and field goal attempts. And Steve, that's about what, 15, 16 feet in regulation football?
Right. Yeah. And I'm sure from a long way downfield, that thing looks a lot smaller than 9 feet.
Now, there's a ball that goes through and underneath. And that'll be a touchback. They'll bring it out to the 5-yard lines. A lot of different rules, and I know a lot of you folks are watching this game, possibly for the first time. And the league itself looks at tapes after each week and trying to refine it. They think they've got a product here which is very appealing, but like any new product, you've got to work some of the kinks out of it. And there are things that they're looking at on a weekly basis, and as for next year, they might change some things. Sometimes they'll say, well, maybe there were a few too many calls this way or that way, and let the officials know that, you know, we're looking at certain things. And it's been a lot of fun, though, as Bennett goes back. He's hit again, and the pass is dropped.
Oh, and Reggie Smith claps. Had he been able to hang on to that ball, the 2 defenders coming over there, Ed Zeman being one of them. both knocked themselves out of the way, and Smith would have gone a long way. He had a lot of green area open in front of him had he been able to hang on to that pass.
44 seconds left to go on the half. Also the drop kick once again. If that's to be utilized, it can be worth 4 points on a field goal. Webby Powell was the linebacker blitzing. Hart is hit. 93 Matt McKnight on the tackle. And Bennett wants to use a timeout now.
Again, on dead ball plays inside of a minute. In other words, dead ball, the ball's out of bounds, or an incomplete pass, the clock stops inside the final minute of the first half or the second half.
The point we were making is that this is a new league, and there are a lot of things they're looking at to try to improve the game. And you can only tell that, Steve, by going out and actually playing the game under game-time conditions and then making some adjustments and saying, okay, these are things we're going to work on for next year. Last week, there was a problem with some of the calls involving the zone, the tackle area.
And I think it's a very, very confusing thing for especially a lot of the players. You know, we're talking about players who have gotten used to blitzing, looping, what have you. You can't blitz except one player can blitz in this game. And the zone type coverage, you can't do it. They want to get that excitement of man-to-man coverage as much as the NBA has. And of course, you see the kind of scoring that the NBA has led to. There, Matt Stevens trying to figure out how to break through some of those man-to-man coverages. And one of the ways that you do it is by having some fine receivers, and he does. Gary Mullen for one, Cliff Branch another.
Third down and just a couple, and they'll run it. That's Stone. And Stone's got the first down, and Chicago immediately wants another timeout. The Bruisers last week had a 4.6 rushing average. That was the best in arena football. Let's take a look at the pop here. 93 for Los Angeles was Matt McKnight. Now, he's a defensive player. And he was telling us before the game, he says, man, I've been having trouble with this offensive stuff. And he said it affected his defense last week.
I think a lot of it affected a lot of the players last week for Los Angeles. That's why they lost.
Bennett and Perry Moss talking things over. We'll be back to Chicago right after this.
Yes, I'd like 2 of those pizzas.
Those pizzas? They'll be $17.99.
$17.99? But it says $10.99.
Not for those pizzas.
How can that be?
I think if you refer to the fine print.
Fine print?
Does not render vendor responsible.
May I help you?
Who are you?
I'd like to introduce our corporate attorney. He's here on a regular basis.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
At Little Caesars, you always get 2 great pizzas for 1 low price.
Pizza, pizza.
Only at Little Caesars.
28 seconds left to go in the first half. Los Angeles leads Chicago 29-27. Last week, Los Angeles scored 52 points, but New York scored 60. Last week, Chicago scored 60, and they won by a big margin over the New England Steamrollers. Akins was a man in motion, and you can't turn to the line of scrimmage before the ball is snapped. Akins with the reception inside the 20. That's a first down, and Mullen makes the tackle.
Carl Aiken, a fine receiver. This young man is a big play receiver. You know, in college, he had some big catches. 9 touchdown receptions in college. 4 of them went for over 50 yards. So he is another one who knows how to pack that ball, turn it upfield, and pick up big yards after the catch.
Akins played at Northern Illinois.
Ben Bennett asking now for another timeout. Wants to go over and talk things over with Perry Moss, his coach. And again, as we said earlier, Perry Moss, a great teacher of quarterback through the years in his league, all the places he's coached. Ben Bennett, the latest of his students.
Well, coming up next week, Steve and I will be in Pittsburgh, PA at the Civic Arena as the Cobras will take on the Pittsburgh Gladiators. And Mike Hohensee has gotten Pittsburgh off to a big start. What do you have, 10 touchdown passes?
I think he had 9 touchdown passes last week.
That'll be at 11 Eastern time.
They love their football back in Pittsburgh. We all know that. Even when the Steelers have fallen on some hard times, still the fans love their football back in Steeltown, Pennsylvania. And those Gladiators draw the crowds.
That's late at night, isn't it?
It's all right. We've got nothing else to do we? We want to be here.
I guess not, no. There's what Bennett's done, 15 to 22, 3 touchdowns, but one of those interceptions returned for a touchdown by Joe Kelly. 22 seconds left. They have no more timeouts remaining as Akins is the man in motion. Bennett, and the pass is ruled complete. The clock is going. Darryl Hart made the reception. 11-10. You see it right there. Bennett incomplete. That'll stop it with 3 seconds. So now, Perry Moss with the decision. It's 29-27. His team's down by 2. They go for the field goal for the 3. Take a lead into halftime. They go ahead and try to get the score.
I wait to see if the kicker walks on the field, and I think he is. He's got one of the best kickers in the league in Marco Morales. So I think in this situation, even though this is a wide open game, even though it seems like it's all offense, this game could come down to a kick at one time or another. And why not, if you have the opportunity and a kicker like Marco Morales, why not go for it? And on the other side of the coin, if you've got a good fake in someplace, this might not be a bad time to use it either.
It'll be a 26-yard attempt for Marco Morales. And it's good. So this youngster, who at one time hit 50 straight extra points at San Diego State, gets his team the lead at halftime. The Chicago Bruisers lead the Los Angeles Cobras 30-29 at halftime in a very exciting first half. And as we saw last week, just about the right number of points for the first half in an arena football game.
But I think this week, as opposed to last week, Roger, a much better played football game, at least the game that we have here on ESPN. Much better, I think, in terms of defense being played by both teams. The offense looks a little sharper. Matt Stevens, in particular, I think, looks a little sharper tonight. And again, when we talk about defense, defense can win games right here. And when we talk defense, let's talk about one of the best in the league, and that's Durwood Rockmore.
Rockmore picks off this pass from Matt Stevens, and watch him run with it after he catches it. 28 yards on the interception return. That the second interception return for a touchdown. Joe Kelly had one earlier of some 44 yards.
There's a lot of ways to score in this arena football game. Matt Stevens now the only player who doesn't have to play defense. He comes out, right, and you saw Weppy Powell just drive Durwood Rockmore into the boards. We've seen a couple of guys go right through the boards tonight.
I was talking to one of the folks here yesterday, and I said, gee, they ought to have some of the Chicago Blackhawks come out and work on the boards. He says, the Blackhawks didn't use the boards at all this year. The Bruisers lead the Cobras 30-29. We're at halftime here in Chicago. Welcome back. We're at halftime. Chicago leads Los Angeles 30-29, and it's my pleasure right now to introduce to you a man that really needs no introduction, the Kansas Comet All-Pro for many years of the Chicago Bears, Gale Sayers. Gale now in the computer supply business here in the Chicago area, and he played in a media old-timer Bears game before this particular arena game. Gale, you've watched the first half of this. What do you think of arena football?
Well, you know, this is my first time being in a live game. I've seen it on TV, but I really enjoy it. It's a very fast game, and in a matter of seconds, you can score touchdowns, so I really like that.
You were an offensive player, of course. You got a feel for a guy like Cliff Branch, who's been an offensive player all his life. Now he's got to play defense. You didn't like the tackle, did you?
No, I didn't, but I tell you what, you're right. You know, this game, as you said earlier, that is made for defensive players who can play a little offense.
One of the things about this game, and the rules, of course, are a little bit different, but the field being just 50 yards long, and you can score so quickly, the clock doesn't stop. So as a fan sitting in the stands, you never really get bored with it, do you?
That's right, because, you know, this is my first game here, and these fans are really wild about this team. And so the fans, it doesn't last that long, but they really enjoy it.
Gale, you played in that media old-timer Bears game. Bobby Douglas was down there, Bash Nagel, some of the guys. You're not coming out of retirement, are you?
No. If you saw me down there, you know I'm not coming out of retirement.
Okay. Gale Sayers, our guest here at halftime, where Chicago leads Los Angeles 30-29. And we'll be back with the second half of this arena football game on ESPN right after this.
Knockout night. 3 World Championship bouts in one evening. First, the WBC Super Lightweight title fight is a meeting of champions Roger Mayweather and Harold Frazier. Then, Olympic medalist Virgil Hill defends his WBA light heavyweight crown against Ramsey Hassan. In the main event, Thomas Hearns battles to keep his WBC middleweight championship from Iran Barkley. Knockout night. a pay-per-view event. Monday, June 6th. Call your cable operator and order today.
Thanks again, boys, and keep the change. You hear all this nonsense about Kellogg's Frosted Flakes being just for kids. Well, I, for one, eat them, and I'm going to go right on eating them. Frosted Flakes just for kids, come on. Like we adults have to go sneaking around. Like we can't love these crisp, sweet flakes just as much as kids. Who is it?
You just have to admit it. Frosted Flakes have the taste adults have grown to love. They're great.
So what's little dandruff?
Okay. Imagine you're at the social event of the year, and your dream girl says hello, just as you do this. Her first impression? What a hunk. And only a few flakes.
Give me a break.
The breaks are you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
So?
The regular shampoos won't fix your problem. Try this.
Head and Shoulders? But you don't have dandruff.
Bingo.
Head and Shoulders, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Wow, you guys have really got a thing for fit.
Seriously, fit is it if the athlete's foot. Hey, even Reeboks won't feel right if the fit isn't perfect. Feel okay?
Yeah, they feel good.
Yeah, they feel real good. All right, I can run. So smooth. My feet are so happy. I have had to feel like I'm gonna die. All right.
I'll take them.
The athlete's foot.
Roger Twibell, Steve Raible back with you at the Horizon in Rosemont, Illinois. You talked to Bash, Nagel, Thomas, some of the old Bears at halftime. What'd they think?
They're having a great time. They are really enjoying this. And Thomas, as you mentioned during the broadcast, probably a better kicker than a lot of the guys down here. He was booting them from halfway down the field through that little narrow opening down there. Bash, Nagel, and I both agreed we don't want to play defense, though.
30-29 our score at halftime here. We had a great first half, a lot of action, and looking forward to the second half. Ben Bennett and Matt Stevens, of course, the quarterbacks.
Right here. And we are back. Matt Stevens warming up out on the field, getting set. Take a look at some of the halftime statistics. Stevens completing 10 of 14, so having a much better night than he did last week against New York when he got off to kind of a rough start. Threw for 7 touchdown passes, no interceptions, but still missed a lot of open receivers. Ben Bennett for Chicago, 16 of 24. There you see the touchdowns passing and the yardage passing. Chicago with Bennett throwing for 170 yards, and there the turnovers, 2 apiece. And a couple of those turnovers turned into points by each of these teams, interceptions for touchdowns.
Steve, last week in the game that you did in Los Angeles, there's a fatigue factor, not only for the players, but also the officials at the end of the game, because, you know, you're in this building, it's indoors, it's air conditioned, but you get a lot of people in here, the crowd's moving. All of a sudden, air might come a little thin. These guys are going both ways. The officials are working hard. And Bennett's taken a lot of licks so far tonight as that ball bounces out of bounds. But that's one thing you did mention about last week's game.
Well, again, some of the coaches mentioned that they thought maybe there should have been a few more calls going down to the wire last week. And, you know, you have to speculate. I wonder if the officials are starting to tire a little bit, too. Again, there are only 4 officials down on the field. There is a replay official who is up here in press row near us who is looking for the illegal zone or the illegal blitz type defenses. And then he is calling that down to the field. But on the field, there are but 4 officials.
And one change this week. They got the officials in long pants. there were some critics last week that didn't like the officials in the shorts.
Well, so there was some real bad legs.
Yeah, Smith is the motion guy, and the whistle. Boy, and they just nailed Bennett again, and he's, I think, had just about enough of that. Weppy Powell was the man that was all over him.
I'll tell you who else was in there, too. Jones, who Ben unceremoniously smacked in the mouth earlier in the game. Weppy does not pull up, and neither does Jones, and I mean, they just drive Bennett into the ground, and he's a feisty guy. He comes up, he's ready to swing again.
So the penalty will go against Los Angeles, and that's moved up to midfield. Got to get used to saying midfield at the 25-yard line.
But again, as we talked about, midway through the fourth quarter, when you've run up and down this thing about 3,000 times, that 25 yards looks like a mile.
We're just underway, second half. Glad you could join us here. 30-29, Chicago with the 1-point lead. And Bennett is hit. Weppy Powell was the man that came through there. The intended receiver was Stone for Chicago, Billy Stone.
Once again, the way to defend against a quarterback who's been pretty successful, if you're not altogether satisfied that your secondary people can handle it downfield, and that is put a lot of pressure on the quarterback.
You know, I just saw Perry Moss having a few choice words for Ben Bennett. Now, Perry believes that quarterbacks should call their own game. However, he doesn't feel possibly that Ben is ready. They're right to that point, and I think Perry's trying to give him a little assistance over there. Maybe Ben isn't following the plan too much, as number 42, Michael Jones, got a hand up. He's 6'5", 230 pounds. And there's a look at Perry Moss.
As he again yells instructions, and there's the look at Jones. And as we mentioned earlier, this guy is a real physical specimen. He has 6% body fat. He's a weightlifter in the offseason, works at a health club. This guy never played high school football, and he is just one great natural athlete.
Came from that football powerhouse, State University of New York, Brockport.
Yeah. Right up there with the USCs of the world.
Bennett, he's got Reggie Smith. That's a first down inside the 15 to the 13-yard line. Reggie Smith's an exciting player, 31 years old. And Billy Stone with the good block on Weppy Powell that time.
1 foot needs to be inbounds, 1 foot there, all the way up the sign on the wall. Reggie Smith, not only a fine football player, an excellent receiver, he was a great baseball prospect coming out of college at North Carolina Central.
Bennett almost intercepted by McKnight. The intended receiver was Carl Akins. There's where McKnight is comfortable, back there roaming that end zone as a safety.
And he's pretty comfortable coming up and putting the lick on people, too. We have an official call now. It looks like a penalty.
Illegal procedure on the offense. 3 men on the line.
Have to have 5 men on the line of scrimmage in this game of arena football, but 3 men on the line that time, which tells me either one of the tackle types lined up a little bit too far in the backfield, or the wide receiver on each side thought the other guy was the split end. Both of them lined up as a flanker off the ball.
Brings up a second down. The clock now will continue to run. It doesn't stop until the final minute of the game, unless of a penalty situation. Reception made by Mike McDade. McDade from Nevada, Las Vegas.
Haven't called his number too much tonight, but comes from a pretty good school at turning out some football players, San Francisco City College.
My mistake, that was Hart. Daryl Hart, 26. Well, 6-0.
That's right, they were close. There was one
circle in there.
I was all set to talk about Mike McDade, too. Went to school where O.J. Simpson went to school. If some of that rubs off, he's going to be a good football player.
Third down. Reggie Smith can't get a handle on it. You have to have 1 foot in bounds. And, folks, there's not a lot of out of bounds over there before you hit that padding. And Reggie's pointing fingers again.
Well, he and Ed Zeman been going at it today. Eddie Zeman, the defensive specialist for Los Angeles. His daddy, a pretty good football coach. His dad coached with the Raiders for a lot of years, now coaching with the San Francisco 49ers. And, of course, Ed has some pretty good ties to this Los Angeles team, as most of their staff made up of former Raider coaches.
Fourth down. 7 yards, and they'll go for it. Why not? I mean, they're inside the 10.
Sure. Ben's a good quarterback.
Weppy Powell came across the line of scrimmage, and Faulkner got his helmet knocked off.
Wait for the officials to call, but it could be encroachment on the defense. Let's see.
Illegal defense, number 40, 5 yards and a first down.
Again, Weppy, I don't know how many times I have to tell you, son, but take a look. You can't step into that zone there, that neutral area. You have to stay behind your defensive lineman. Again, Weppy Powell, number 40, the linebacker. He had anticipated blitzing all the way. It's just you can't step up into that neutral area of your defensive lineman until the snap of the ball.
Look at the penalties. 8 for 41 for Los Angeles. Chicago just 1 for 3. As Bennett has it now, first and goal. It's at the 5-yard line, just inside the 5. Call it the 4. And the sack for the Los Angeles Cobras, Tony Palomera. 6'2" and 250 from Cal State Northridge, and he does wear a diamond ring in his ear.
There you see Weppy Powell go blasting through there. Great shot as well of Stone. Billy Stone, the running back for Chicago, having to pick that blitz up time and time again. Weppy Powell is just going to challenge him. And at some point, Ben Bennett might think about trying to sidestep Weppy and flip the ball out to Stone in the flat.
I got a feeling Bennett's going to be hurting for 2 or 3 days. He's taken a lot of licks tonight. Less than 10 minutes to go in the third quarter. Bennett going for Smith, and once again, Ben Bennett on his back. I'll tell you, Walton 66 has been putting on a lot of pressure. Also,
Ben Bennett tying his shoelace there. He got hit so hard it knocked him right out of his shoes.
Palomera as Ben Bennett, who last week in the opener of the 1988 Arena football season just had a pretty good week. Threw for 8 touchdown passes.
Yeah, pretty good, I'd say so. Again, Arena. Take a look around, folks. You see walls up, padded walls. You see a narrow field, a short field. That's what we're talking about, arena football here.
Now it's 3rd and goal. Bennett, touchdown. 84, Carl Akins. He had 3 touchdown catches a week ago. And that's his 2nd tonight.
Carl Akins high-fiving all the way back to the huddle. As we said, this guy's a big play guy. And he just goes up for the ball. He just follows it all the way in, and once again taking advantage of a primarily offensive player who is on defense, and that's Gary Mullen. We have a stoppage of play right now because we have an injury on the field. But you're looking at Carl Akins, number 84, out of Northern Illinois. It's Reggie Smith, the player who's down. You know, last week we were pretty lucky. In our first game on ESPN this season, no real serious injuries did we see. Reggie Smith, however, they're checking that knee, that leg. We won't speculate at this point, but you sure hate to see it.
So Reggie Smith is down in the end zone. Chicago has now increased their lead. 36-29. And once again, there is the 2-point play on the conversion. If you want to go for the standard extra point, you get 1. There's a 2-point play to run it or pass it, which is 2. And then there's a drop kick, which you can also do, which will get you 2. Timeout on the field. We'll be back to Chicago right after this.
Okay, listen up. Oakley here is filling in for Bob tonight.
For 3 years, Bill Oakley took orders. But tonight, he's got to stand up and take charge.
You make America work.
Here's to you, the clean, crisp taste of Beechwood-aged Budweiser. For all the guys who know it's not what you say, but what you do.
Roger Twibell, Steve Raible back with you, and Reggie Smith now coming off, and it looks like he cramped up, and that's one of the common injuries when you play both ways, and we were talking about that right at the beginning of the second half, the fatigue factor.
There's no question about it. You're going to lose a lot of fluid out here, and it's a fairly cool night. You wait till it's July 1st and about 95 degrees outside, 85% humidity, and add about 20 degrees both ways inside, and you're going to lose a lot of water.
What were you telling me about when you played in the Kingdome?
Kingdome was the same way. 68 degrees in the Kingdome, but because there's no air circulating around, it really gets hot and stuffy in there. You feel like you can't breathe.
Now Morales for the extra point attempt, and it's good. So Marco Morales moves the Bruisers out to a 37-29 lead against the Los Angeles Cobras. And we'll take a pause here. Arena football on ESPN will be back in just a moment.
They'll cut me right off at the bottom line. Maybe I better not show it to them.
No doubt in my mind, it's a case we can win. There's one airline that knows its business so well, it actually lets you keep your mind on yours.
It's a three-part strategy.
United, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve.
Our guys flying tonight. There's tomorrow. We all fly on Thursday.
Come fly the friendly skies.
They got this covered or what?
I can't wait to see the look on his face. He's going to be so excited.
It's a feeling. You keep calling me home, Chicago.
Hey, man, take a look at this.
Calling me home, Chicago is calling me home.
We just missed you, Dad.
Roger Twibell, Steve Raible back with you. Kicks it off. Richard Rogers, not the music man, brings it up past the 10 to the 12-yard line.
The interesting story, we talked about this last week when we saw Richard Rogers, was involved in the play. He was a player for the University of California, in on the field in that Stanford game when they lateraled the ball a couple of hundred times. He wasn't the guy that ran over the tuba player.
But he was in the middle of the band.
Somewhere, and I think all of them were in the middle of the band at one point.
Matt Stevens, the quarterback, and the completion. 22 is Cliff Branch, and Steve, we have not called his name many times tonight. I believe this is his first reception, and of course, boy, what a great career. University of Colorado from Texas, and he's been out of football for a couple of years. 85 was his last season, and that was just a partial season.
Yeah, Cliff came back, said he wanted to play. As you say, his first reception tonight, caught 7 last week. But again, Ray Wilsey deciding to start the better defensive player at wide receiver tonight.
Stevens again, and that's Rogers. Across midfield down to the 22-yard line, where Steve Tahn makes the tackle.
As Rogers collects the ball, collects himself, able to bounce off the very nearly made tackle of Steve Tahn and continue to move ahead. Richard Rogers, another one of those primarily defensive players who's doing a pretty good job on offense tonight.
7:40 left to go, third quarter. They're going to run the football. And they don't get much. 34 is Richard Prather, and that's the first time we've called his number tonight.
Prather played with Denver last year, the Denver Dynamites, the champion team of the inaugural Arena Football League.
Pennsylvania is Frostburg State.
Is that where it is? I was asking that question myself.
Or maybe it's Maryland.
Oh, wait a minute now. Which is it? You can't do that.
I can't do that?
No.
Second down and 10. Intended for Branch and incomplete. You know, Cliff said one of the reasons that he wanted to come back and play in this sort of league was, one, there were no two-a-days, short training camp, and he really wouldn't have to practice that much. And he said, hey, realistically, you know, guys still have skills and can play at a later stage. He says it's practice that takes it out of you.
Oh, yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I think so, although I can't imagine. Listen now, Cliff Branch is going to be 40 years old here in a few months, and this guy's out here running around with guys that are, well, almost half his age.
3rd and 10, and no call. I think Los Angeles was looking for Lou Erber, the assistant coach for the Los Angeles Cobras. Yeah, he thought there was interference there, as Joe Kelly was the intended receiver.
Yeah, he's a little upset about it. We're going to take a look. I think he slipped down. I think Joe Kelly just flat slipped trying to make his break. Now, this is very good surface out here tonight, unlike some of the surfaces they played on last year.
Maryland.
Frostburg State in Maryland.
Well, I knew it was Pennsylvania. It was close. 38-yard field goal attempt by Ken Olsen. Straight ahead kicker. And now that ball's a live ball. It's a live ball. And Chicago comes up with it at the 1-yard line.
Let's see as we unpile them down there who comes up with it. One of the Los Angeles players, Brent Johnson, was pointing.
Chicago got it. 42 Clyde Skipper was the guy on it. But folks, that's one of the beauties of this game now. The field goal attempt and the live ball off the net.
Now watch Olsen take this shot. He had plenty of distance. In fact, he hits the very top of the girder holding the net. It bounces out. Two bruisers run into each other, bruise each other. But there, a third dives on the ball, and again, I still couldn't see who got on top of it.
Skipper got it.
Skipper got it. All right.
Now, both teams do have pass plays off the net that they'd use in special situations. But once again, this is all new to a lot of the coaches and to the players. As Bennett goes back to pass, and he's got Todd. Todd's still on his feet. And he's finally ridden down. Ed Zeman was the man making the tackle. Zeman went to Fort Lewis State in Colorado.
Here's Bennett from the end zone now, finding Ton, who was wide open, quite frankly wondering where his defensive player went. Zeman finally gets over there to make the play. Ed Zeman, nice kid, really nice guy. I've gotten to know him pretty well.
He was just excited to be here in Chicago. You know,
I think he's excited to be anywhere playing football right now, as a lot of these guys are. They're really enjoying themselves.
Second and just one. Bennett, flag goes down, wide open, number 42, Clyde Skipper, touchdown. But there is a flag down.
Chicago fans may want to sit back down as the officials gather together to talk it over. Skipper had skipped on into the end zone. It's going to stand. The penalty is going to go against Chicago.
Illegal defense, number 55 white. Penalty is refused. Touchdown.
40-yard touchdown pass from Ben Bennett to Clyde Skipper.
Well, I couldn't see what Brent Johnson did to be an illegal defense unless maybe he looped way outside, which is illegal. You have to rush in your lanes, but it doesn't matter because the penalty doesn't count. Clyde Skipper gathers it in for a 40-yard touchdown pass, and Ben Bennett once again is hot this week.
43-29, and Morales to attempt the point after. There's a good look from behind, 9 feet wide, and Morales is perfect.
Morales, a good kicker, and for a sidewinder, being able to nail that narrow distance, as we talked about earlier, only 9 yards, the width of the cross member there. There you see Skipper with the reception, dives into the end zone for 6.
Yes, I'd like 2 of those pizzas.
Those pizzas? They'll be $17.99.
$17.99? But it says $10.99.
Not for those pizzas.
How can that be?
I think if you refer to the fine print.
Fine print?
Does not render vendor responsible.
May I help you?
Who are you?
I'd like to introduce our corporate attorney. He's here on a regular basis.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
At Little Caesars, you always get 2 great pizzas for 1 low price.
Pizza, pizza.
Only at Little Caesars.
We're at the Rosemont Horizon in Rosemont, Illinois, just a little bit to the north of O'Hare Airport, if you've ever flown through the Chicago area, and who hasn't?
That's right. I knew we were near it someplace.
Morales gets set to kick it off. Chicago leads at 44-29. Attendance tonight, 7,823.
And I think that'll pick up a little bit as maybe we get into summer a little bit. Again, the first game here at home for the Chicago Bruisers.
And that bounces off the netting. Richard Rogers will bring it back out to the 8-yard line. Now, the Los Angeles Cobras got a problem. They've fallen behind here by 15. And they were pretty much in control of this game in the first half, right up until the end of the half, and things kind of turned around that last interception.
Well, you know, one of the problems, and you just put the hammer to the nail, that is the problem. They've turned the ball over, Los Angeles has. In fact, Chicago's run 13 plays this quarter. L.A. just 6 opportunities this quarter, and you're not going to put points on the board in this game if you can't control the ball.
Well, you know, Ray Wilsey told us that we'd maybe see Eric Beavers, the backup quarterback, in the first half. We haven't, obviously. Stevens still in there, going to Kelly.
Oh, that was so close. That was just over his fingertips. Matt, he likes to put it up. This is his kind of game. Clap, bring him back to the huddle.
Remember this guy?
I
University
sure
of Kansas, Chicago Bears, left-handed through bullets. Bobby Douglas.
Fine quarterback for Chicago. Yeah, the Stars are out tonight here at Rosemont.
I think Perry Moss maybe would like to sign him up and have him in uniform.
He was a great one, and he could play a lot of positions on this football field.
Stevens again. Richard Rogers with the reception. At number 20 on the tackle is Mike McDade. As we got to mention, Steve, you know, the guys that are playing those down line positions, give them a little bit of credit. Mike McCurry, 93, is in there right now. He's in the right side. Right over the middle is Charles Tobias, 65. That's McDade there. And also Gene Rowell, number 60. Those are the defensive players up front. Stevens. Flag is down. Kelly with the reception. Rockmore on the tackle.
Matt Stevens runs over to find out exactly what the situation is. It's going to go against his Los Angeles Cobras. And here comes our official with the call.
Illegal procedure on the offense. Too many men on the line of scrimmage.
Not too many men that time. Earlier in the game, they only had 3. This time they had too many. And Ray Wilsey, I think Ray's got to be concerned. You know, he was talking this morning about some of the things that you just don't want to see happen to your team. Block kicks, things like lining up with too many people on the line or not enough people. I think Ray would consider that just lack of preparation. And he's the kind of guy that just adores preparation. He believes thoroughly in it. And it hasn't gone too well for him tonight.
3rd down and 7. Pass is incomplete. Lockett, the intended receiver, and that's a guy they went to a lot early in the game.
And he's just sort of fallen from grace for some reason. He hasn't been given an opportunity to catch too many passes, whether they've been putting their better defensive players. Of course, they had Rockmore on him that time. Take a look at Stevens dropping back. He's got plenty of time. He just overshoots his receiver. And Rockmore, whoa, come through there with a little forearm action to the top of the head. That'll get you well, not a 15 in this game.
Look at this field goal.
Well, you can't punt in this game, so you might as well go ahead and try the field goal. Another rule there, folks. No punts in arena football. Whoa, bad snap.
And out of the end zone. What's that signal? You remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that one. I got one of those once. A safety. So 2 more points for Chicago. And again, Ray Wilsey, while he's probably fairly calm on the sidelines, inside must be pretty upset. That's just an awful snap, and it just sails right away from Matt. All they can do is hope that it gets out of bounds someplace.
Wilsey told us today, you remember, he said that's high school mistakes.
Yep.
Bad snaps from center are high school mistakes.
And when you look at that look on his face, he's saying, hey, what do I got to do here? I know these guys are not high school athletes.
Well, we'll be back with you again next week with more arena football here on ESPN. You'll see the Cobras once again against the Pittsburgh Gladiators. Pittsburgh won their opening game of the season. Of course, they're in action this weekend. So that's coming up at 11 Eastern time right here on ESPN from the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
I wonder if Wilsey might be thinking that we're bad luck for his team. He may want to get off TV as quickly as possible.
1:53 left to go in the 3rd quarter. As Skipper loses it in the end zone, picks it up and is knocked into the boards at the 7-yard line. Now there's the mascot for the Bruisers. Is that a good-looking animal or what?
My dog is sitting at home watching the game tonight back in Seattle, and I know, Roger, you said you had a dog.
I had it. They got the best personality.
Do they? They got to have a good personality. Look how ugly they are.
Listen, you saw that dog a lot when you played at Georgia Tech.
Ugga.
Ugga.
That's right.
That was probably Ugga 1, and now it's Ugga 10, isn't it?
Thanks, pal.
Todd in motion, and Bennett near side, and it's complete. That was Mike McDade, and McDade getting into it a little bit with Gary Mullen. Now tell me about McDade.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I will.
Yep.
McDade went to San Francisco City College that produced one of the great ones, O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson, a very close and personal friend, I might add, of our producer and esteemed director, Chet Forty. Very, very close personal friends, and he never lets us forget that fact, by the way. Now the officials are talking it over down on the field. We're going to get a measurement here.
Well, Bennett's got an eye on it. 46-29, 1:15 to go in the 3rd. Now,
there's one of the officials that didn't get the word that he had to wear long pants.
He's just running the chain,
so
I he can wear shorts.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they were trying to make a fashion statement last week or what. It obviously didn't go over that well.
It was not much of a fashion statement. Mr. Blackwell called, and he said that they made his worst dress list.
Reggie Smith, by the way, has cramps, as we suspected, and they expect him, of course, to come back. 18 players suited up, and of course, quarterback and the kicker are the guys that get the special treatment, if you will.
And again, you can only be substituted for once in a quarter, so you spend a lot of time on that field, and it is tiring, no question about it.
Bennett. And whistles and flags go down as Osei Lewis from Oregon State. And look at this.
A little pushing and shoving. Jones gets into it. So does
Gene Rowell, 60. This is arena football, folks. And I'll tell you what, when you put a lot of big people in a small area and you're running in hitting one another, there's not any room to hide. You get in each other's face an awful lot.
Illegal defense, number 40, 5 yards, first down.
And you're not only seeing them on offense, you're seeing them on defense, too.
These guys do some more pushing and shoving here. There you see Osei tries to hand the ball to Lockett. Lockett doesn't want it. Here comes Rao in. He says, beat it, Lockett. So now Jones is going to step in. You know, the one thing that's nice about that, you don't like to see guys fight, obviously. But the nice thing about that is guys are standing up for each other. Look at Los Angeles with the penalties tonight. Ray Wilsey's got to do something about it, but I don't know what he can do. He takes as much time as he can in practice to teach the guys.
Ton in motion. They come near side to McDade. Zeman really put a stick on him right there.
Eddie's girlfriend is at home watching tonight, Susan Bendis. She probably appreciated watching that shot. Her boyfriend is a hero here. Watch this now, Susan. The catch is made. Eddie comes flying in. Oh, he had a little help from Mullen, too. Zeman really is all over the field, though. And there's Mike McDade out of the UNLV.
18 seconds left to go, third quarter. Bennett. And a penalty marker down. I believe one of the LA players reached out on the field, and we got a fight breaking out here. Another flag goes down. And folks, they've got boards like hockey, but they don't have a penalty box.
Well, they may have to put one in after this one. And nobody's going to hurt anybody with all the pads on, but they're smacking each other around pretty good.
What happened was McDade, the intended receiver, was juggling the ball, and one of the LA players reached over the boards and knocked the ball away.
So that's going to be either unsportsmanlike conduct or some sort of penalty on the Los Angeles bench. The officials are going to try to add it up here. They may need a calculator for all this. But take a look, see how the whole thing happened. Bennett pulls away from trouble, fires the ball. Now, the bobble starts right there. Bobbled on a sideline. It's Ray Wilsey. Wilsey smacks it back into play. Ray, I know you're frustrated, pal, but you can't do that. Now, who's that? Is that Jones again getting back into it? No, that's Powell gets into it.
Well, Powell's been in Bennett's face all night.
Now here they come flying in there swinging. Now let's check out the call.
Unsportsmanlike conduct on the defense. Unsportsmanlike on the offense. Penalties offset.
How many times you ever heard that?
Boy, a punch.
Huh?
You know, the 10 penalties tonight.
Look at Wilsey.
Ray's
It's like he swallowed a canary.
Right. He says, oh, I almost got away with something. But sometimes you got to do that to maybe fire your team up a little bit. The guys for Los Angeles, look at it this way. They're not quitting. They're still out here fighting. They're down by a bunch of points. But here it is.
Ray Wilsey.
Stick your hand
the
out,
left
Ray.
hand.
Knock it back in there. Oh, that's great.
That's the end of the third quarter. Folks, it's arena football. It's high scoring. And you see some things you never see before. We just saw one right there. 46-29, Chicago leads it after 3.
Less irritating shave.
You could go to extraordinary lengths to find one. A shave with not one or two, but 6 rich lubricants for less razor irritation than any leading brand. You could go to extraordinary lengths for a shave like this. Or you could reach for Edge. 6 lubricant Edge. More lubrication, less irritation.
You're a bud man, baby. A bud man through and through. Having fun in the sun, baby. And there's nothing you can't do. You're a bud man. You're a bud man, baby. For all you do, this bud's for you.
Pac-10 powers battle for Los Angeles bragging rights. The top-ranked USC Trojans face the UCLA Bruins. Saturday, 11:30 Eastern, live on ESPN.
Children's Hospital works miracles. Because we care, May is Miracle Month at McCune. For any car you buy, new, used, or vans, McCune will give $100 to Children's Hospital. You see, Children's turns no child away regardless of the family's ability to pay. She just loves kids and wants to help. And so do I. Honest. McCune Chrysler Plymouth National City Mile of Cars.
Dave Lennox. Since 1895, new ideas in heating and cooling.
Now install Lennox air conditioning and be cool-free for 90 days. Then pay as little as $64.95 a month.
Call your independent Lennox dealer.
Meet my friend Jerry O'Fallon of ABM, serving the homes of the greater San Diego area.
We pride ourselves in quality installation and service.
I'm here with Craig and Chris of CNC Air Conditioning, and I'm proud to say that CNC was San Diego County's largest Lennox dealer last year.
Attaboy, Dave.
Along with Steve Raible, I'm Roger Twibell. We're at the Rosemont Horizon and the Chicago Bruisers with a 46-29 lead as we start the fourth quarter. The clock will run continuously until the final minute as Bennett throws down to Reggie Smith, who's checked back into the game, and a pass is underthrown. Folks, we saw some things in the third quarter you don't often see in football.
Well, again, folks, remember, you're watching arena football right here. Now, I guess in any brand of football, a coach can stick his hand out and pop the ball back into play, but when Ray Wilsey did it, it just seemed like it was sort of the right thing to do at that
just
moment.
So close to it, and I'm sure he was just standing there, and it was a natural reaction to see the ball and reach out and grab it.
Last week, a receiver and a defensive back along the walls at the L.A. Civic Center bobbling the ball. The ball popped right up into the hands of a fan. The fan took it home with him.
Fourth down now for Chicago. 5 yards to go. Bennett finds Reggie Smith, and they've got the first down at the 15 as he's brought down by Wade Lockett, and an unusual thing occurred in the third quarter of this game. Look at that. That's a goose egg, folks. You don't see that in arena football.
Chicago's run off 19 straight points here in the third quarter, and Los Angeles, primarily because Chicago has been able to score and score at will. They have just kept Los Angeles' defense in problems. There's Reggie Smith. He's back on the ground again, and you can see them massaging the calf on the right leg there.
Well, the Bruisers, excuse me, Steve, last week held New England to 35 points. That was the lowest of all the games played. And right now, the Cobras with just 29. Perry Moss went out and he got himself a lot of defensive players, and he says, I'm going to take defense first and offense second. And it's really working out well for him.
We were in Orlando during the exhibition game down there a few weeks ago, and we came away from there saying Chicago may have the worst team in the league, and they are really shining. I mean, this team plays fine defense, and Ben Bennett has become a real leader out there at quarterback.
First down at the 14. And Bennett's got his man. That's Carl Akins. And 93, Matt McKnight with the tackle, but Bennett's getting a lot more time here now, Steve.
He is, and he's getting confidence as the game goes on. If you can get any more confidence than he's already got, he just looks right outside there. McKnight has got to lay off of Akins a little bit because Matt, while he's a big, rangy kid, just doesn't have the speed that a Carl Akins has.
Faulkner 92 and Williams 64. The two offensive lineman with 55, Brent Johnson, the center, as Bennett backpedals, and he goes to his eligible lineman, Jeff Faulkner, who he saw for the first touchdown pass of the game. So of those 3 offensive linemen, Faulkner is the eligible man there.
Again, this kid, a basketball player. And the Chicago team, quite frankly, Roger, really has. It has progressed incredibly. And one of the things, I think, that Perry Moss told us earlier, he was looking at players in Florida during the exhibition season. He wanted to win, but his primary concern was looking at as many players as he could, come back here to Chicago and go through double sessions. That they did, and they found themselves a pretty good offensive and defensive team here.
3rd down, McDade is the motion man. They give it to Stone. Touchdown.
Well, there's a flag on the play, and it's going to go, according to the Cobras at least, against Chicago. And that it is. But watch Stone put his head down. Oh, he just runs right over Jones and into the end zone. This was the Iron Man from a year ago. Oh, nice spike, pal.
Yeah, there you go. That's new.
It's like he's jumping for one of those car commercials, isn't he?
That's the kiss spike, you know. It's just...
I hadn't seen that. I like that. Well, the penalty goes against Chicago. The touchdown nullified. And Los Angeles gets another shot at it here.
Oh, there you go.
That's a little holding action right there up front.
That was a big time hold by Keith Williams. Little face mask can pull you down.
Keith, defensive player again. Alley-oop.
Aikens, the intended receiver. Mullen on the coverage. Now, what was your favorite spike, Raible, when you...
See, you got to remember, you got to score to spike the football. I didn't score that many touchdowns, Roger. I'm sorry to admit. So I never spiked the ball. I carried one to the sidelines with me, my first ever touchdown in the National Football League. And then after that, I just sort of tossed them back to the official. I was never spiked. I'm sorry.
Very understated. Huh?
Yeah,
very
understated elegance, I think, is the way they termed
I can understand that. Yeah. 4th down and 6 for Bennett and the Chicago Bruisers. 11:25 to go in the game. Hart in motion. And it's overthrown. And the ball will go over to the Los Angeles Cobras.
One of the things about arena football, if that ball sails into the stands, the fans can take it home with them. So it's kind of a nice souvenir.
We ought to be sitting closer to the sidelines.
That's right.
Huh? We'll be back right after this.
The Porsche 944. The Volvo 740 Turbo Wagon. To you, they're 2 completely different cars. But to a radar gun, they look exactly alike.
Almonds. Want to know who gives you more of them? Mars Bar.
More of the best things in life.
More big, beautiful almonds than any other popular chocolate bar.
More of the best things in life.
Rich chocolate, buttery caramel, and more almonds. Mars Bar. More of the best things in life.
Now, you talk about a souvenir. Go to a football game, an arena football game, folks, and walk home with an official football from the game. If the ball here goes in the stands, as we mentioned a couple of minutes ago, you get to take it home, and that young man gets that football.
And those are a lot easier to catch than baseballs.
Yeah, you get a lot more players' names on it.
There you go. By the way, the ball is regulation size. There's no difference in that. As Stevens completes the pass, Richard Rogers on the far side at the 19-yard line, just short of the first down. And the Los Angeles Cobras now, as you see Stevens going to the wristband, looking at the plays, they're down by 17 with 10:45 to go. But, folks, that's the great thing about arena football. It doesn't take you long to score at all.
No, they're certainly by no means are they out of this game. They've got a lot of firepower here. They just haven't been able to hook up. In fact, they haven't scored a point since the first half.
Stevens this side. And that's Cliff Branch, 39 years of age. That's got to hurt more than it did when he was 29.
Well, if it doesn't hurt anymore now, it will sure hurt more tomorrow than it did when he was 29. Cliff, And we talked about this last week. Oh, boy, he really takes a header into the wall. My goodness. One thing about Cliff, and he has always done ever since I started watching him play with the Raiders years and years ago, and that is he comes back to that football, helps his quarterback out.
1st and 10. Kelly. Joe Kelly inside the 15, down to the 12-yard line.
They can have that.
Clark 55, Harris 60, and 82 Rob DeVita. Guys playing up front as you take a look at Matt Stevens.
Here's Matt, just a quick turnaround. Kelly looking to see what the defense is doing. Durwood Rockmore is playing off just a little bit, so Kelly just curls up in front of him.
2nd down, less than a yard. Rodgers in motion. Good protection and dropped. Boy, Rodgers was wide open that time.
One of the things that these teams do in their offensive scheme of things is you have to run, obviously, man-to-man routes. So you may, at one time, your outside receiver will just run deep, and then the inside receiver will do an out route, or the inside receiver runs deep, and the outside receiver comes down and breaks across the middle. But you're just trying to run away from defensive players all the time.
Branch is split to the top. Prather is the lone setback. On 3rd down and less than a yard, Kelly, the intended receiver, and it's thrown over the wall. So now the Los Angeles Cobras are faced with a 4th and short as Lou Erber, who was with the New England Patriots for a number of years as their offensive coordinator.
And the Rams and the Raiders. He's been all over the league. Fine coach. Matt Stevens, again, Ray Wilsey there, talking to some of the players up and down the sideline. Again, you got to be careful as a coach in this game because of the substitution problems you can get into. You can only be substituted for once in a quarter. He's got to have his offensive personnel in there because they're down 17 points. That's why Cliff Branch is in the ballgame right now.
8:05 left to go. Branch is the man in motion. And they'll run it with Prather. And he's got the 1st down. Stone 32 and Akins 84, the guys that came up and made the tackle.
Watch Stone here. Here comes Prather outside. Stands the running back up, and then Billy Stone comes running over from inside to take him out of bounds. Richard Prather, 225-pounder out of Frostburg State, which is where? Maryland. Thank you so much.
1st and goal. Stevenson. Kelly intercepted. Guess who? Durwood Rockmore.
Durwood Rockmore now has 5 interceptions on the season. Last year, the best interceptor in the league only picked off 4 all year long. Durwood Rockmore has already broken the record, folks, and very likely he's going to just absolutely shatter it this season. There's a ball. He'll take that one home. He said, look, the fans can take it home. If it goes in the stands, I'm going to take this one home.
You talked about Branch coming back to the ball. Kelly didn't do that that time, and that's why Rockmore made the interception.
How well does your car stand up to heavy traffic? First, Gillette made shaving closer. Then we made it smoother. With Atra Plus, its Luber Smooth Strip glides the razor over your face for Gillette's smoothest shave. The Atra Plus system. First, we made it closer. Then we made it smoother.
Oh, some of the Bruiser cheerleaders. And folks in the stands watching this game.
Yeah, she looks like an LA fan. She doesn't appear to be too happy right now, does she?
So at the 1-yard line, Ben Bennett and company will take it over with 7:12 left to go. And they'll run it. And knocked out of bounds, maybe a yard. That was Billy Stone. And 66 for the Cobras. Wes Walton from Lehigh Walton's an interesting guy. You know, he spent some time in Antarctica studying the ozone layers. This is a brilliant individual, majored in economics at Lehigh.
Yeah, but the Antarctica. I mean, you know, just come to Chicago in January. It's close enough.
And study the ozone.
Gee whiz.
Bennett finds Smith. And he's knocked out at the 9-yard line by Lockett. Smith, boy, I'll tell you, he doesn't stop jabbing, does he? He just jaws.
That's it. Just keep talking to him. Ben told us before the game, when you're backed up against your own end zone like this, the thing you have to do is establish some continuity in that offense. In fact, he told us earlier, we may just come out and run with the ball on our own goal line because it's a safe play for the most part, and you know you've got to get a little bit of separation and then try those controlled passes to give yourself some room, then get into scoring position.
3rd and short. Stone. That's going to be real close. Just needed to get to the 11. Where are they going to mark it at? They're going to mark it right inside the 10. So it's going to be 4th down. Now, there's no punting in arena football. Let's take a look at Stone now, the Iron Man from a year ago.
Iron Man. Guy plays well both ways, offense and defense. Puts his head down right here. Look at the mouthpiece or an ear pad or something, chin strap, something comes flying out of there. Took a shot.
56 yards now, the field goal attempt for Marco Morales.
Oh, look at this. Gonna drop.
And it'll be returned. Wade Lockett. He's going the other way now. Morales makes the tackle. Boy, I'll tell you what. They might use him on defense for the Chicago Bruisers.
All right, Marco.
Look it, they don't pay you enough in this league, obviously, that you can just sit back and not make tackles, right?
When things are going right for you as a team. Now watch Lockett. He bounces off of one player, reverses field. Now it looks like he's going to pick up some blocking right here. Here's Mullen. Look at that. Marco comes flying in out of nowhere and makes a game-saving tackle. As a kicker, he's laughing about it. He says, hey, can you believe it? I just made a tackle. Mom, look at me. I'm on TV.
5:05 left to go in the game, and Chicago leads Los Angeles 46-29.
I tell you, he's gotten goofy.
I like your dad.
Dad? He thinks he's my brother. Last night we were shooting hoops at 10 o'clock.
So?
Marty, this is the same man who never lifted his nose out of a newspaper. Now we listen to Z-Rock on the radio. What is this?
The right vitamin nutrition and a balanced diet helps people get more out of life. Some are finding Kellogg's Product 19, 100% of 12 vitamins and minerals.
I just wish he'd act his age, like your dad.
Feel like 19 again.
It's a TV. It's a remote control VCR. It's a stereo. All in one home entertainment package, and all yours for a limited time, just $19.95 a week at Color Time.
Well, just 5:05 left to go in this game. Chicago looking to improve their record to 2-0, and Los Angeles in danger of falling to 0-2. And I think some of the Chicago fans have decided this is a W, and they're going to hit the exits a little bit early. But that's the thing about arena football. It's a 50-yard field. The clock will stop on out-of-bounds and incomplete passes in the final minute. And even though the Bruisers are down by 17, well, there is the 2-point conversion. And a couple quick scores as Eric Beavers played his college football at the University of Nevada at Reno. And he's getting loose.
Yeah, looks like we'll be seeing him shortly. But Stevens continues to quarterback.
He's going for all of it. Mullen is there. He dropped it.
Well, that's how you get back into one of these football games, is you go up on top early. And Gary Mullen, really not like him. This ball's right on the money. Matt Stevens hasn't thrown a better pass all night. Mullen in stride, just goes right through, just takes his eyes off of it. He even beat the best defensive player perhaps on the field tonight, Gerwood Rockmore. And
maybe
in the
leg.
a cheerleader.
Oh, look out.
He'll have a sore back tomorrow.
2nd down. Stevens downfield again to Lockett and into the boards. Hey, there's 6 inches of padding over there, Steve, but it doesn't really matter because there's still, it's solid and it hurts.
That's right. There's also a swinging gate over there that somebody's going to go through again. Here's Stevens, rifle shot.
Just 1 foot in. That's all you need.
Stevens looks more confident right now, as a matter of fact. The way he's dropping back, setting strong, and throwing. I think his coach, Ray Wilsey, just told him, he said, look, man, just go out there and make something happen. Don't fret about it. Don't worry about it. Just throw the ball like you can do it.
And he'll sneak it for the first down, and he should have it. Yeah, I don't think you don't. Maybe they have a variation of the nickel defense. They call it the penny with 8 men on a side, huh?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Hadn't thought of it that way.
Clock is stopped now, 3:42. As they're going to bring in the sticks and measured. Stevens just 16 of 28 for 184 with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
And he was not intercepted last week. So he's got a couple of them picked off here tonight. Stevens throwing for 7 touchdowns in last week's loss to New York.
And he threw it 45 times last week, so he has barely half as many passes in this game with 3:38 left as he did last week's game. Well, we've had our first fight break out in the stands here in arena football and the Rosemont Horizon as Stevens makes the completion. Richard Rogers caught it.
And he has a couple words with McDade.
Yeah, but they don't want to waste a lot of time here, Steve, you know, with...
No, you really don't. You've got to get downfield, continue to move it. Rogers was the motion man that time.
Look at Wilsey getting back inside and closing the gate.
Yeah, coaches can stand on the sidelines in this game, and they do.
Block, number 42 on the offense.
Well, again, another penalty. Ray may be back out on the field here before you know it. Another penalty for Los Angeles. And Ray Wilsey saying to himself, I don't know what I got to do, but we got to start over again. And that's the thing about a coach, especially a guy like Ray, who's been around as long as he has. You're going to have games like this. You're going to have problems. 11 penalties tonight, a new record, and a dubious one at that for the Los Angeles Cobras. But as a coach, you got to forget about it. You look at the films tomorrow and you start all over again.
2:58 left to go. Mullins, the guy in motion. And Stevens lets it fly. Lockett intercepted. Derwin Rockmore. No, he's going to come out with it. He didn't really want to, and he sets down with it. Rockmore, 3 interceptions last week. He's got 3 tonight. He's got 6 already on the year.
I think Derwood was a little bit tired, and he just wanted to stop back there, and his momentum carried him out of the end zone. Great interception by Rockmore, though. This guy's a player.
2:38 to go. We'll be back.
The Porsche 944. The Volvo 740 Turbo Wagon. To you, they're 2 completely different cars. But to a radar gun, they look exactly alike.
And we're back here at the Rosemont Horizon. Ben Bennett looking on. His team now with a 17-point lead and 2:38 to go. Rockmore has been a big story tonight, but we've just been told that the MVP is Carl Akins of the Chicago Bruisers, and the Iron Man is Weppy Powell, who was very active on defense tonight and ran with the football early in the game, and that's what the Cobras tried to do, it appeared, Steve, early on.
Well, again, they want to try to establish some sort of control of that ball, trying to keep Ben Bennett and his offense off the field, because we see how quickly they can score.
And now they'll just run it. That's Osei Lewis, O-S-I-A. Played his college football at Oregon State, was a quarterback in high school, recruited as a quarterback, and he says, well, I guess I just grew.
Moved him over, played him some defense, played strong safety, grew some more. Moved him to linebacker. It's a good thing he got out of college. He'd have put playing defensive tackle.
Perry Moss said the defense would win it for him.
Well, they have done that tonight. I mean, when you consider holding a team in arena football to 29 points, they held New England last week to 35. He knows what he's talking about, and he's got predominantly defensive players on that team, and he's taught them offense well. Here they go again.
Bennett, the skipper, and it's incomplete.
Skipper saying, if you'd have just laid that ball out there a little farther, Ben, I'd have had another touchdown for you, pal.
And L.A. wants a timeout with 1:17 left.
Here comes the ball. Skipper's got to stop and come back for it. He's out of bounds anyway, so it doesn't count.
Oh, there goes the door again.
Yeah, there
Whoa, there he goes. Hey, you see an open door, it's better than running into the boards, huh?
Ed Zeman just takes a little break, runs right off the field.
We got a timeout on the field with 1:17 to go. And the Bruisers lead it 46-29.
When you compare Toyota with other cars, you may not see the extra value at first glance. But Toyota's dependability and trouble-free operation make it the best car value on the road. A value that holds up better than any other car when you go to trade it in, which is why 5 Toyotas rank #1 in customer satisfaction. But it isn't just the trade-in value that holds up well.
Visit a San Diego County Toyota dealer today where you'll find a great selection and great deals on your new Toyota.
You've got from right now till Monday night at 9 for the Furnishings 2000 7-day super sale. This is no ordinary sale. This is a 7-day super sale with special sale prices on every department store wide. Furnishings 2000 with instant credit up to $1,500 on the spot. Take Sealy, America's #1 bedding manufacturer. Incredible sale prices right now on twin, full, queen, or king size bedding. Take the Deep Slumber Classic. Twin features the quilted inner spring mattress or matching foundation. Your choice, still priced $68 each. And there's more. Hurry to the Furnishings 2000 nearest you.
And we're back here, and really some confusion going on as Los Angeles intercepted a pass, and now they've got another fight down in the end zone. I mean, everybody's squaring off, but what happened was Bennett threw a pass downfield. It was picked off and ran back to about the 4 or 5 yard line. Let's take a look at it.
All right, watch Bennett now. He'll get this ball off. I don't know why quite he's throwing. He's been fairly successful running the ball at any rate. Who he throws to is the other guy, Gary Mullen. Picks it off. Now he's going to bring it back the other way. Watch him get smacked into the board. Boom. Now there's a late shot. Now is when the fun starts. Lockett's going to step in, and he's going to start arguing with number 65. That's Charles Tobias for Chicago. And I mean 4 or 5 guys started throwing punches at that point.
Bennett must have conduct on the defense. Unsportsmanlike cancel will enforce the personal foul.
All right, they're gonna cancel off the unsportsmanlike like is usually done, and then they're gonna take the personal foul. But I mean, Bennett must have gone brain dead. All he's got to do is throw it up in the stands. I mean, there's nobody there, right? They've got a lead, 1:07 to go, 46-29.
But you got to remember, a guy like Bennett, I mean, he may be loose, he may be easygoing, he's all those things, but he's also competitive, Roger, and he's trying to fire that ball in there, put more points on the board, win bigger than they're appearing to win now.
And now 1 minute. The 1 minute signal, so now the clock will stop on incomplete passes and out of bounds, and we'll take a timeout. 46-29. Chicago leads Los Angeles.
A less irritating shave. You could go to extraordinary lengths to find one. A shave with not 1 or 2, but 6 rich lubricants for less razor irritation than any leading brand. You could go to extraordinary lengths for a shave like this. Or you could reach for Edge. 6 lubricant Edge. More lubrication, less irritation.
We're back at the Rosemont Horizon, and while we're away, they continued play, and the touchdown pass from Matt Stevens to Mullen, 2 yards, and that makes it 46-35 with 56 seconds left to go in this game, and the Los Angeles Cobras will go for the 2 points here. Going for the 2-point conversion, Stevens to Mullen, it's no good. And so it's an 11-point Chicago lead with 56 seconds left to go.
And again, once you're inside the final minute of either half, the clock stops. Stevens comes off after leading the team downfield in the touchdown pass to Mullen. We may have seen the last of Stevens tonight. We may see Beavers next time and like to get the ball.
Don't I get 2 pizzas for the price of 1?
Don't think of it as one pizza. Think of it as 1 pizza in 1 box.
What am I going to do with a box?
Ever hear of organic?
What's that?
A pterodactyl.
A what?
At Little Caesars, you never get just 1 pizza. You get
pizza.
2 great pizzas for 1 low price.
Back, Roger White, Steve Raible with you. Chicago 46, Los Angeles 35, 56 seconds to go. The final minute of arena football. The clock stops on incomplete passes and out of bounds. So conceivably, Los Angeles, Olsen gets ready to kick off. Has a lot of time. They've got a couple of timeouts left,
and conceivably they could tie it. They have to score a touchdown, then kick.
It's off the net. It's a live. Hart got a hold of it and wasn't going to let go.
Now, let's go back over this. They're 10 points down right now, correct? No, they're 11 points down. Sorry about that. Can't see the scoreboard from here. 46-35. I was going to say 10 points down with a 4-point drop kick and a touchdown. They can put themselves back in the running, and that's what the drop kick is all about. However, I don't think there's a 5-point drop kick.
No.
If you drop kick the Bulldog through, that's 5 points. Now, I love dogs.
But you don't want to do that.
No, you don't.
You could lose your foot. Bennett is going to pass it, and Akins has it.
And there's Matt McKnight. One thing Matt wanted us to mention, and he comes to this game tonight, obviously wanting to win the football game and excited about his opportunity to play. Also comes to the game tonight feeling pretty badly. His college coach at Fresno State, Jim Sweeney, lost his wife this week following surgery, and Matt McKnight wanted us to relay his wishes to his coach and his feelings for him and his family at this time, and we all send our wishes to Jim Sweeney as well. Just a fine coach down at Fresno State.
And there's Bennett and Coach Perry Moss. Los Angeles called a timeout there. They didn't need to because they got the man out of bounds, but that's one of the things. You play both ways. You're going through this whole game. The clock never stops until the final minute of the first half and the end of the game. And sometimes it just doesn't register, and your instinct is to call the timeout.
Things happen so quickly down here in this game. There's the coaching staff for Los Angeles talking it over for a moment. Bob Meshach, another former Raider coach, on the staff here with the Cobras. The officials continue to talk it over out between the two teams. I'm not sure what they're talking over.
Mind you, we'll be in Pittsburgh next Saturday night. Cobras and the Pittsburgh Gladiators. Hohensee threw 9 touchdown passes last week against Detroit. And Pittsburgh plays New England tomorrow night. Stone will run it, and he's got the first down. And they'll continue to run the clock. Now they get a timeout, and that's the last timeout for the Los Angeles Cobras. So with 39 seconds to go, no timeouts left. Chicago Bruisers, or Cruisers, as they look for their second win.
Billy Stone, last year's Iron Man. You know what he wants to be when he gets done playing football? Take a guess. An athlete,
professional wrestler.
Well, that's a good guess. It's not the right one, however. He wants to be a sportscaster. What do you think, former athletes?
Well,
moving up into the
Bennett does and has done some commentating on ACC games the past few years. So Steve?
Good knowing you,
What do
Rod.
you think?
See, it's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed it.
Bennett almost fumbled it. Oh, there are a lot of guys just waiting for the chance to hit him.
Chuck Harris was one of them. Chuck just drilled him right into the ground.
Now, well, it looks like they gave him one more timeout because...
They're just being nice about it.
Well,
The official scorer not notice that they had no timeouts left, according to the scoreboard here.
Well, last week in the Chicago win against New England, they allowed 35 points. Looks like that's the way this one's going to end up, too.
It really is phenomenal when you think about the amount of scoring that can go on in a game like this. As Ray talks to his players on the sideline. And he told us this morning as well, he said, I think the scores are going to come down as the season progresses because teams are going to get better at playing defense. I don't know if a team like Chicago can get any better playing defense, to be quite honest with you. They've done just a marvelous job tonight. And Los Angeles, quite frankly, has not been able to capitalize on the opportunities that they've had.
Perry Moss, head coach, athletic director, Florida State, coached in the World Football League, in the USFL, in the Canadian League, where he's also a part owner at Montreal here. He's been a general manager. He's now in the Arena Football League. He's covered every base there is to cover. Semi-pro football, Atlantic Coast League.
With no more timeouts, Ben can just take one knee, and that should just about do it, except for a continued bit of a scuffle going on down here. These guys,
McDade and McKnight.
the guys are going at it.
There might be a McMick fight.
That's right. Now shake hands, guys, because it's all over. And Ray, back to the drawing board.
So that's it. Final score, Chicago Bruisers 46 and the Los Angeles Cobras 35. And we'll be back with more from the Rosemont Horizon. Bruisers 46, Los Angeles Cobras 35. Ben Bennett with 5 touchdown passes. Derwood Rockmore 3 interceptions and 1 return for a touchdown. Tonight's telecast has been brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. And by your local Caesars, where you get 2 great pizzas for 1 low price. For Steve Raible, I'm Roger Twibell. Thanks for being with us from the Rosemont Horizon next Saturday. It'll be the Cobras against the Pittsburgh Gladiators at 11 Eastern Time, 8 Pacific Time, right here on ESPN. So long, everybody.